Cookin. I'm your hostess, Cindy Schumacher. On today's show, we'll be making enchilada casserole, a Mexican dip, jalapeno apple slaw with honey lime vinaigrette, and awesome nut bars. And so this is really a fun day because everything is so delicious. But I'm just starting. I've got 1.5 pounds of ground beef. I'm just starting to brown it in the pan, and I've chopped up a large onion. This is a really large onion. I'm not going to quite put the whole thing in, but add a large onion chop to it. Probably about enough. We don't want to have more onion than we have hamburger. So get this going. In the meantime, I had a pack of flour tortillas that I sliced each one into strips. They say 3/4 of an inch. I do it with a pizza cutter, and I just kind of chop them up. So I've got them ready, and I've got my pan ready. This is an 11 by 15. This is another one of those casseroles that you can divide in two if you want, and freeze one if you don't need such a big casserole. I'm doing a family size, so I'm going to do the entire thing together, but you'll just divide the steps in two if you decide that you want to make two. Sometimes you can cut your recipe in half and you're okay, but sometimes if it's like a can of soup or it's something that you can't really divide it, and then you have a half of a can of something in your refrigerator and you forget about it and it gets moldy before you use it. But anyway, this is a favorite of my son Sam's, so I hope you enjoy it. I hope you try it, and I hope you enjoy it. I'll tell you a little story about the bars that I'm making today. I got the recipe from one of my sisters, and I let a friend of mine sample it, and she asked for the recipe, and I told her she couldn't give the recipe out until we had it on the show. So it's a really good bar and very simple. It requires no baking, just kind of making a caramel sauce. So that's going to be a fun one for you to add for your fall recipes, especially like if you have family coming home for hunting season or something like that. I'm going to take a break so you don't have to watch me stir hamburger for a few more minutes. We'll be right back.
That is here. Valley now has higher broadband speeds of up to 1 gigabit. Get the bandwidth you need for all your devices at one time. Gaming with no lag time. Video stream your favorite movies instantly in HD quality. Video chat with friends and family without interruption. Download your favorite music and photos in seconds. All on our 100% fiber optics network. Valley offers managed Wi-Fi and backup services too, bringing together all the services you need. Valley Telecommunications Cooperative.
We're going to stir in, I've drained the ground beef. We're going to stir in a cup of water, and then we're going to add the seasonings. So a 1.5 teaspoons of salt. A 1/2 teaspoon of pepper. A 1/4 teaspoon of garlic powder. Two to 3 tablespoons of chili powder. This would depend on how spicy you like it. Open it up. So what I'm going to do, I'll do about 2.5. That'll give us kind of a medium of the road. Whoops. Now you want to bring this to a boil, and then we'll reduce the heat, and we're going to let it simmer for about 10 minutes. Just turn that down a little bit so it doesn't cook away. Okay, we're going to go over here and work on the salsa now. Before we go on, I just want to remind you that if you want a copy of any of these recipes that we're making on today's show, or any show, if you have internet, you just go to the Valley homepage, www.valleytel.net. Click on the Country Cookin' Cow, you'll find the recipes there. If you don't have internet, give the girls at Valley a call. They'll be happy to help you with whatever you want. So, I have shredded a head of cabbage. It calls for about 7.5 cups, and that's about exactly what the head was. So, and it's shredded fairly fine. You can do it a little coarser, or if you don't want to bother shredding, you can buy the coleslaw in the bag. You will have the carrots and things like that in there, but that's okay too if you don't mind. It's just that this is a Mexican slaw, and it's meant to complement a Mexican dish or something like our casserole that we're making today. So I'm going to combine all the ingredients here, and then we'll make the dressing for it. I've got the 7.5 cups of cabbage. This is a red bell pepper. You can use any color you want. You can use green, red, yellow, orange. And I just sliced it kind of like in those, so that it, sometimes if you dice something like this in a salad too small, you can't really get it with your fork. So unless you're scooping it, you know, like this. But if you make it a little coarser, then it's easier, you know, to pick up with your fork. I have green onions here that are sliced. And this is 2 jalapeno peppers. This might scare you a little bit, but it really, with the dressing and everything, they really aren't that hot. You want to slice them so that they look like this. I shouldn't be touching this with my bare hands, but anyway, so you just slice them in like half moons. This is 2 jalapeno peppers. We're going to throw that in. And an apple. It calls for either a green apple or like a pink lady or something like that. I am using a Honeycrisp because they were on sale in the store, and that's my favorite kind of apple. So I'm going to take a quick break. I'll get the apple prepared. We'll be right back.
Valley is now offering updated digital TV packages and prices. Call Valley today at 437-2615.
Okay, we're going to start assembling the casserole. I've got 2 cups of salsa. I make my own, and we made it on the show, I think last summer, but anyway. So I'm going to put about a half cup of salsa just to cover the bottom of the casserole here. Maybe a little bit more. Okay, to the ground beef, I'm going to stir in a cup of sour cream, and 2 cans of whole kernel corn. Okay, that looks pretty good. Let's get it mixed up. Okay, I'm going to take the tortillas, I'm going to put about half of them over this salsa. Guess you can go either way. They look like they fit pretty good this way, so that's what we're going to do. Okay, I'm going to put about another half cup of salsa over the top of that. Then we're going to top it with the ground beef mixture. Get stuff out of the way. Kind of spoon it over. Now if you were making 2 casseroles, then you would obviously cut everything in half. So you would do a 4th cup of the salsa in the bottom of your 8x8, and then a 4th of the strips, and then another 4th of the salsa. So I've got the instructions all laid out in the recipe, but I think I can dump now. Okay, now we're going to top it with the rest of the tortillas. They don't have to be perfect, just kind of covering the meat mixture. Okay, the rest of the salsa. And we have 4 cups of mozzarella cheese shredded. If that seems to be a little too much for you, you can cut down on it. But it makes kind of a cheesy crust over the top. I've got my oven preheated at 350. Okay, we're going to cover it with foil and bake it for about 35 minutes. The last 10 minutes, then we're going to remove the foil and let the cheese brown. So we're going to take a quick break and clean up. We'll be right back. Okay, I stirred the apples into the coleslaw, and so we're going to make the dressing. It calls for a tablespoon and a half of fresh lime. I don't have a knife. There we go. If you don't have a fresh lime, they just happen to be on sale when I was shopping for the show, and but you can use the real lime in the bottle. I'm feeling a little unorganized. Okay, so here we go. I've got a little press here. I'll use my Pampered Chef little salad mixer. Okay, that's exactly a tablespoon. Tablespoon and a half. Okay, we're going to add a tablespoon and a half of honey. Drain in there for a second. A half teaspoon of sea salt. they're set. Two tablespoons of olive oil. And a tablespoon and a half of apple cider vinegar. It originally called for a seasoned rice vinegar, which I couldn't find. So I Googled what a good substitute, and it said apple cider vinegar. So I like the organic, this brand of apple cider vinegar. It just has such a nice taste to it. So a tablespoon and a half of this. I ran into Relina Melhoff over a few weeks ago, and she was joking with me about when they were watching my show, they got a kick out of that I measure things, because a lot of times we just throw things in, and I actually do that sometimes too, but you know, something like this I am measuring, so make sure I got everything in there. Spatula, and we're going to toss that, and you want to chill this for about an hour. Sticking together there. Take your time and make sure you get it thoroughly mixed so that you don't have a spot that doesn't have the dressing on it, because the dressing really is what gives it that flavor. Okay, take a break and clean up. We'll be right back.
At Valley Telecommunications, we pride ourselves in providing the home team advantage. But what does that mean? It means going above and beyond to take care of our customers' needs by providing exceptional customer service, because helping you helps all of us. As a cooperative, each time you subscribe to our services, you are investing in our community, which allows all of us to build and benefit from the newest technologies. Make the switch today to Valley Telecommunications and experience the home team advantage.
Okay, we're going to be working on the awesome nut bars. I have a cup of butter that I'm going to get going on the stove here. And to that I'm going to add 2 cups of packed light brown sugar. And 8 tablespoons of clear Caro syrup. So what I'm going to do is spray my tablespoon so that it slides out easier. You helping me count? I think that's 6. Okay, once this comes to a boil, you want it to boil for about 3 minutes. Mix together here. Get going there. In the meantime, I'm going to line my pan. It's a cookie sheet. They call it a half-size sheet pan. So like, you know, the full sheet would be the great big one. So I've got graham crackers here, and you just lay them side by side. It doesn't matter if you have a broken one. Just piece it together in there. First time I made these, I was surprised at how crunchy the graham crackers stay in there. It's just amazing. It takes just under 2 sleeves. Go. So it looks like that. There might be a little bit on the edge, but that isn't a big deal unless you really want to get technical and want to fill it in, which I guess you can. But basically, I'll just kind of slip a few pieces in here. There we go. Okay, we'll just give this a stir while it's melting. I like using a whisk because it just seems to incorporate everything a little bit quicker than using a spoon or something, and I'm using a nylon one so that I don't scratch my kettle. Not quite, the butter isn't quite melted yet, so. All right, in the meantime, while we're waiting for that, we're gonna stir together the Mexican dip. This is a fresh Mexican dip. You wanna store it in the refrigerator, but I've had this recipe for a lot of years. It was something that my dad always liked. As a matter of fact, when everybody ate all the stuff out of there, if there was a little bit of juice left, he'd drink the juice. Because it just has such a good, interesting flavor. So that's 2 large tomatoes that are finely diced, and I have the skins on, so you don't necessarily have to remove the skins. This is green onion, 2 or 3, and then a small can of ripe black olives. That in. This is about a 1/4 cup of finely chopped green olives, a can of chopped diced green chilies. If you want to use a little bit stronger heat, I'm just using mild. So easy to just stir it all together. Now the recipe originally calls for safflower oil, which I could not find. And so once again I Googled to find out. We're gonna check on our, in here, okay. It's boiling, so we want it to boil for about 3 minutes. We'll just kind of keep an eye on it. Okay, so getting back to this, they did not have safflower oil, so they said a good substitute would be canola oil. So I want to add I should have these measuring spoons strapped to my neck. I'm going to add a tablespoon and a half of white vinegar. A teaspoon of garlic powder. And 3 tablespoons of, I'm using canola oil. And that's all there is to it. We're going to stir it together and we'll let it chill. And then you just want to serve this on the side with chips, or people can use it as a topping on their on anything, a taco or on the casserole or anything. But it's colorful, it's delicious, and you can do it, make it any time of the year. It's especially good right now where you still have some tomatoes, but we even do it like the 4th of July and everything. I'm going to get back to that. We'll take a quick break. Be right back.
Here, Valley now has higher broadband speeds of up to 1 gigabit. Get the bandwidth you need for all your devices at one time. Gaming with no lag time. Video stream your favorite movies instantly in HD quality. Video chat with friends and family without interruption. Download your favorite music and photos in seconds. All on our 100% fiber optics network. Valley offers managed Wi-Fi and backup services too, bringing together all the services you need. Valley Telecommunications Cooperative.
Okay. I've let it boil for about 3 minutes. We're going to add a teaspoon of vanilla. Nice and smooth. Okay, I'm going to pour about half of this over the top, and you kind of have to work fairly quickly. Good. Spread. It's because it's thick, so it wants to just sit. Okay, now I have a cup of deluxe mixed nuts. It's the kind that don't have the peanuts. They're expensive, but when you're making something with this quality, with the good caramel and everything like that, it makes a big pan. So once in a while you just have to splurge. So I'm going to sprinkle these. You coarsely chop. Sprinkle it over the top. And I'm going to tell you a little funny story. The first time I made this recipe, as you know, I live in the country and I don't always have what I need. I can get in the middle of a recipe, and probably some of you are the same way. You get in the middle of a recipe and all of a sudden you don't have what you need. So I improvise, but it calls for 2 cups of semi-sweet chocolate chips. I didn't have any. I had 1 cup. I had like a 1/3 cup or whatever, you know, I had about 3/4 cups. So what I did was I had white chocolate chips and I had milk chocolate chips, so I did all 3. And it was delicious. So I've tasted it both ways. I've tasted it with all semi-sweet, but I actually like the semi-sweet with the white chocolate. I think it kind of gives it a little bit of a little color too. So that's what we're doing today. You can use your own judgment if you decide you want to make this. So sprinkle them all here. Okay, we're going to top it with the rest of the caramel. Here again, it's so thick that you kind of want to take your time, make sure you try to get it spread as evenly as possible so that you don't have to work so hard spreading, especially when you've got all the nuts and chips and everything there. So I'm just going to keep working my way back and forth. Take a spoon and grease it a little bit. And just kind of try to cover some of the spots that, and it kind of will get a little bit of a swirl pattern, and that's okay. It just makes it more interesting because I'm using the white chips along with the all set. Looks like this. So we're going to let it, I'm actually going to put it in the refrigerator just to kind of cool it down in a hurry so that it's ready when we want to cut it. Take a break and be right back. Okay, I want to remind you quick before we dish that if you want a copy of any of these recipes, and I hope you do, if you don't have internet, give the girls at Valley a call. If you do have internet, go to the Valley homepage, www.valleytel.net. Click on the Country Cooking column to find all the recipes there. So we have, we're going to just dish here. Put some of the Mexican dip on the side. You can actually even put it on the top if you like. This would actually make kind of a fun World Series party dish or something like that if you wanted to do, you know, something kind of different. The bars you want to let set up just a little bit more, but we're kind of in a hurry here. So we have our enchilada casserole, our Mexican dip, our jalapeno apple slaw with honey lime vinaigrette, and our awesome nut bars. Thanks for joining us today on this edition of Country Cookin'. We hope to see you next time.